Okay, so we are officially recording. So for everyone that is watching the replay, maybe you're like getting ready to hire a designer to create your logo and like rebrand your bookkeeping business, or maybe you plan to like do it yourself in Canva. That's actually what I did with my own, so no judgment here if you decide to go that route. But in this video, we're going to be going over some best practices when it comes to branding your bookkeeping business. So for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Chatsoni, and I help virtual bookkeepers market with confidence with a website they can feel confident and proud to send their clients to. Like the same way that a lot of bookkeepers don't do taxes and partner with CPAs, I'm a website professional that does not do logos. I have no desire to do it. And I just feel like I don't have the patience for it. So instead, I'm partnering with an amazing graphic designer. Her name is Sue, and she's going to be joining me today to share some best practices with us. So Sue, with that being said, I'll go ahead and hand it off to you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and who you help.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sue Skavlem. I am a graphic designer who started out as a web designer and made my way slowly into the graphic design world and also into the fine arts world. So I love to paint in my off time. I completely unplug. And I think you guys probably know as bookkeepers, you're not always a bookkeeper. Like that's not your whole identity.
Mhm.
And that's helpful to know because your identity and who you are, what you're interested in, what makes you unique is what is going to reflect and just enhance your brand. And I don't want to, get like super woo woo on you because you guys are very cool, logical people. Um, but it's not all you are. You have so many different parts of who you are, and you have your ideal client of who you want to attract. So taking those two pieces, working with Chatsoni specifically, she can go through like so many cool things with you on which kind of clients, what they look like, what kind of business you want to grow into, and where you are right now. And
Mhm.
so I think that's helpful too when you look at a brand and when you look at a logo. Maybe you're at the point where you're just starting out and you don't know what to do other than for marketing or for your brand, and that's okay. That's who we are, and that's exactly who we want to help.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on here and like help us. I really
Glad to do
appreciate it. So
it.
just like a quick overview of what we'll be discussing. We're going to go over like the logos. I know that's like the biggest thing when people hear branding, they automatically think logos. So we'll go over some best practices with that. Color palettes, typography, which is pretty much just the fonts that you use for your logo and branding, and images, whether it be like professional brand photos or like many bookkeepers who are just starting out, stock photos. And of course, how to get branding support. So if anyone is like watching this and they're like, okay, this is too much, I don't want to do it myself, I'd rather just avoid that headache altogether, we can explain how someone can reach out to you. Sound good?
That's great.
Okay, perfect. So we'll dive right in to logos. So my biggest question is, what makes a good logo?
Such a good question. So I've been studying this for close to 20 years. I started doing marketing and design in 1999. And I was just telling Chatsoni it was back when Photoshop had like 6 tools and maybe like 8 to 10 filters. That was it, folks. There wasn't like Illustrator didn't exist, Canva didn't exist. And from there, I got to practice, and I practiced every day, and I've been practicing over 20 years now, and I'm still learning. So if you're wondering what makes a good logo, the real question is what makes a good logo for you? Because there are plenty of good logos out there. If you have either tried to make your own from a template in Canva, you know that there's certain looks and feels that appeal to you a little bit more than others. And so sometimes it just helps to go, what do you like? What don't you like? What feels like you? What feels like who you want to be? And so sometimes that what makes a good logo, again, is just that assessment of what am I drawn to?
Mhm.
Um, Now, I personally think that a great logo has 3 different parts. It has your mark or your Sometimes it's an icon. It's also called a mark, and it's usually a unique symbol
Mhm.
that shows who you are, that can be who you are without the words. Now, I think that a good logo can be put together and taken apart. So you have your mark or unique symbol, you have the name of who you are spelled out, and then you also have, and this part is optional, what you do. So, say you have a really unique name and a really unique mark, and then you say bookkeeping at the bottom because
Mhm.
um, just like my last name is Skavlem, which is a great name. So easy for people to spell. It is, that one's a little tricky. If I had to rebrand, I would rebrand with what my website is called, which is designsthatdo.com,
Mhm.
which is probably going to happen in the future.
Oh,
Right now, I'm
awesome.
Skavlem Designs. And so at the bottom, I definitely went through the different types of things. I was like, do I want to be studio? Do I want to be designs? Do I want to be designer? Do I want to be consulting?
Mhm.
Do I want to be strategist? Like, there were so many things that went into just picking a good name. So if
Yeah.
you have a good name, that is half the battle for creating a great logo.
Mhm. Awesome, and I'm glad you mentioned that, like, the site icon or, like, the mark is super important. I'm calling it a site icon because 'cause I'm thinking
That's
about
great. I was like, from where you sit, the site icon is like the little fave icon, the one that at the very top of
Yeah.
your like when you put it into a bookmark at the top of your screen, it's what shows up. So like
Mhm.
Google Calendar shows like a little calendar icon. That's what you
Yeah.
mean by site icon. Yes.
Mhm.
So it's also helpful if your mark doesn't have any words in it,
Mhm.
because it gets to be, you have to think about how small it's going to be at some point. It's going to be
Yeah.
super small on a fave icon is like what, 50 by 50 pixels or something smaller than that. And then, it might be as big as on a billboard. Maybe
Mhm.
you don't want maybe you just want your mark and your website on a billboard.
Mhm.
I've done that. It looks fabulous.
Yeah.
But you really have to think like, do I want a symbol? Do I want initials? Do I maybe not want to mark at all and have my font and my name of my business be my whole logo, which is called a word mark, which
Yeah.
let's think of a few. Coca-Cola was coming to mind. So they just have a word mark, and it's a very distinctive font and a
Mhm.
very distinctive color. In fact, they went so far as to brand, like they bought a color from Pantone that is their very unique color, and it's Coca-Cola red.
Oh, wow.
Harley Davidson did the same thing with their orange. So
Mhm.
if you want to get real crazy with it, you can be like, this is my color now.
Oh, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. That's awesome.
It's kind of crazy. People get real crazy about colors.
Yeah. Um,
I know that's further on.
yes, definitely cover that. But what I guess another quick thing that I see often when it comes to logos, do you recommend putting like if you're an LLC, for example, putting that in the logo? I normally say no, but I'd love your professional opinion.
That is such a great question. I always tell people no.
Okay.
So many people are so proud of becoming an LLC. I know I am. I am Skavlem Designs LLC, but you'll see it's not in my logo. The only place I have it, the only place I should have it is on my website. Haven't updated that yet. Um, I don't even have it on my business cards.
Okay.
And again, that is a personal choice.
Mhm.
It's a branding choice because the business side and the brand side are similar and they overlap,
Mhm.
but you don't always, you're doing business as who you are. So I also work for a company called Bertelsen Brothers, LLC, but they have three main businesses, and so they're all of their branding are doing business as those three,
Okay.
and they don't put DBA in front of any of it that when it's branded, just on their checks, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
The money side and the branding side, they can be different, which is
Mhm.
really nice. As long as it's documented, it's doable.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Because I'm glad I wasn't like steering people wrong.
No,
'Cause,
you
like,
made the right choice.
awesome. Because I'm like, okay, I think that's just for like legal and financial documents, not really branding. So what
Mhm.
you're saying makes total sense. And then they can always change it later if they decide to
Absolutely.
choose to like an S corp or something like that. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So covered a good logo. Let's talk about colors. We kind of touched on it a minute ago, but I'm curious to know what your opinion is because I normally recommend, like especially with bookkeepers that have a specific niche, that they
Mhm.
need to focus on choosing colors to like attract their clients. Like it's more about what the clients want, not just what your favorite color is. I kind of
Yes.
got lucky with working with like women and moms. So I chose pink and that's my favorite color. So I kind of like got lucky with that, but that might not be the case for everybody. So what are your
Exactly.
thoughts on like choosing like your color palette for your branding?
I love that question. Okay, so think of your logo as something that represents you.
Hmm.
It's who you are specifically, your name, your mark, everything about you.
Okay.
Now take that logo and make it one color, make it just black. Do you like the shape? Do you like the font? Do you like the name still? Does it all feel balanced? Does it
Mhm.
feel you? And again, I make every single one of my clients have an all black logo, one color logo, just so that they can see if they actually like the logo or if they're
Mhm.
attracted to the color, because those are two separate things.
Okay.
Now, when I say attracted to the color, I really mean attracted. Um, when you go through uh, an assessment of who you want your clients to be, think about what colors will attract them. And I have a couple different color palette generators that I send to people, and I'm just like, just hit the space bar until you find something that just screams you, and then send me that link.
I like that.
but but I also advise no more than 3 to 4 colors per your logo when you end up with like a complete logo. Uh, and always to have a one color logo as a variation, because you're going to need that one color logo when you do like maybe embroidery on your cool company jackets,
Mhm.
or your coffee mug that has like laser etching. Like that's
Yeah.
just a one color logo. If your logo has like transparency stuff behind it or anything like that, it's not going to work. It's going to all become one mashed up color,
Yeah.
and you're not going to be able to read whatever is going on or to see your mark clearly. So
Mhm.
I always advise that one color logo as an option. Now, the fun part is brand colors can change over time. If you're not Coca-Cola, and you're not Harley Davidson, and you're not completely married to a color,
Mhm.
you can choose like one primary color and have that be your brand color.
Mhm.
But also, I advise people to choose a brand palette. And this works out really well talking with a web designer, because as you know, um, your your logo has one color, but you can't have, maybe your logo has 3 colors. You can't put that logo with those 3 colors on a background that matches exactly one of those colors,
Yeah.
because it's going to like that part of the logo is going to disappear. And
Mhm.
so think about what colors work well with your main primary color, with your secondary color. um, I usually put together, when I work with clients, uh, after they've decided on their logo, then we talk about colors. Their
Okay.
primary color, their secondary color, their tertiary color. So like colors 1, 2, and 3, and
Mhm.
then a brand palette that works well with those colors. And
Okay.
that's what we hand off to you, the client, or to the web designer to say, stick with these, 7 colors. Now,
Mhm.
the logo doesn't have 7 colors. It maybe has 1, 2, or 3 colors.
Okay.
But everything works well with those colors.
Mhm.
If you go to my site, designsthatdo.com, you can see I have probably like 7 or 8 colors that are consistently in all of the elements on my page. So like anytime I have a graphic, it has one of those 7 color, or it is within those 7 colors. The background
Mhm.
is like a dark green, and everything else just kind of pops on that.
Yeah.
Now, my logo itself is teal. It's just one color. That's it.
Mhm.
But it works well with all of those other variations of green. And I know that teal is a fad. It's not always going to work for me, but I also know that I can slowly over time evolve my color palette because it's so varied, and because I know that it looks good in just black. If it's a fad color, I can slowly change that over time or evolve that without having to rebrand my entire logo.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's amazing that you have like 7 colors in your website. Like I typically limit it to like 3. Like I'll
Which is
ask for
awesome.
all of them. Like we're not doing all of that.
Okay, so to be fair, the color blocks are probably like 3 or 4, but
Okay.
the elements that I use from Canva, I have within those 7 colors. I've rebranded, or not rebranded. I've recolored all of them to match so that everything feels very cohesive on the site. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay, perfect.
I'm like, I don't want to give your people bad advice.
Because I'm like, if you come to me with 7 colors, I'm gonna
I'm
send
like,
you back. We're not doing that. But okay, I'm
no,
glad
thank
you
you.
clarified that. Thank you.
Thank you.
But okay, typography, like fonts, like for anyone who's like, oh my gosh, what is typography? It's just the fonts, just a fancy
It's just
word
the
for
fonts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so how do you go about choosing that and knowing like which fonts like speak to your ideal audience? Like aside from the like cursive and like handwritten fonts being more like feminine, like what else do we need to know about like fonts in general?
Fonts in general, is it legible? I know that sounds so boring for a designer, but honestly, there's a fad right now for cursive fonts or handwritten fonts, and there's another fad on the other side for usually with guys. So you have the girl designers and the guy designers, or vice versa, that have super thin fonts because it looks very clean, which is great, but you can't read it far away. So always think to yourself, how would this look on a billboard? Would someone be able to read this in 1.2 seconds driving by? If not, maybe I need a thicker font. And yes, the thin fonts do look really fabulous. But again, how does it look really big from far away, super quick? So I always call it the billboard test. And then the second test is not stationary, but if you have it an inch, usually about an inch wide, is an inch to an inch and a half is the other place you're going to need it, whether it's on a business card or on stationery or on letterhead, envelope, return addresses. Just think of things like that where you're like, where is this going to be used? If it's only going to be on the website for the rest of your life, then yes, by all means, go with thin fonts. But it is a fad. It will change. It looks fabulous. It's very clean, and it will draw techie type people to you, which if that's your audience, absolutely go for it. But also consider adding just a little bit of what in the business is called weight. So just a little bit of edging around it so that you can see it just a little bit more further away. You also have to think, so legibility, accessibility. If somebody has, if somebody's eyes are a little bit older, they might have a hard time reading your site, whether or reading your words if it's a super thin font. You also have to think about the handwritten font. I saw a bank billboard and I about crashed my car trying to take a picture of it, but I was laughing so hard at the same time. It said, "For a stronger tomorrow." Well, the only difference between stronger and stranger is an A and an O. And let me tell you, that handwritten font had the little
the little loop.
Exactly, the little loop between the A and the O, like on the side, and so it looked like "For a stranger tomorrow." And I about lost it. But immediately, of course, I took to social media and I said, once I was not driving anymore and in a safe place, I said, this is an example of a really well put together ad that just went completely downhill because it wasn't legible. It didn't give the right message to the right people because it didn't say immediately what it wanted to say. And so you have to think about a lot of those things. So will this look good on a billboard? If you're like, I don't have money for a billboard, you might in 5 years. Will it
Yeah,
look good on a
hopefully.
billboard?
Yeah.
Maybe sooner.
Mhm.
Will it look good 1 inch? So think of really big and really small. That's how I choose my fonts.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. The legibility thing is a big one. Like I'm kind of like sick of seeing like the pencil thin fonts on websites because I'm like zooming in on my phone. Like I
Like,
feel like I'm young, but I have old eyes and I'm
yeah,
zooming in, still
same.
trying to read it, and I just give up.
Yeah, for a graphic designer, my eyes are crap. So
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay, so now let's talk images. This is like one of my biggest issues when it comes to doing websites because when you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of money to like hire a photographer and do like a whole like brand shoot. So
yeah,
we end up doing stock photos, but it's hard to pinpoint what look you're going for when it comes to stock photos. So what would
yes.
be your advice with that I can use and hand off to clients especially? So this is one of my selfish questions.
I love it. It's a great question because it really does make a difference. You can have the best logo and the best like clickable, easy to access, easy to navigate website, but if your images are crap, it immediately turns people off. And
Yeah.
so again, think about it as it is an investment. And yes, it would be great if we could all hire somebody to do all of the stock or all of the photographs for
Hmm.
our website. I can't even do that. And I have tradable services. But what I can do and what I do often, probably every 3 years, is I focus on what I need a professional for, which is headshots. So
Hmm.
I would say if you're going to invest in images, have it be in your headshot. And the reason being is, and I'm not just saying like a headshot, like white background, blazer, like, like that's great for some people. But you have to think of who you want to attract.
Hmm.
And so if you can actually get somebody who's considered a lifestyle photographer in to photograph you working, to
Hmm.
photograph you sitting, jotting notes and drinking coffee, or sitting with a calculator, or sitting with a client who may or may not be an actor, like however you want to do that, um, not just in front of one background.
Hmm.
People do business with people, especially the more digital and the more distanced and the more automated we get. People still want to know that they're doing business with a person,
Hmm.
especially when they're handing over sensitive records.
Yeah, access to
They
their like
want to see your
bank and stuff.
face.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. They're like, they want to look in your eyes and they want to know, they want to, they might not know it, but they want to see your body language. And because they can't sit in a room with you most of the time, right away, they're doing research to see who feels like the right person to at least get an interview with, to see if
Hmm.
they're the right bookkeeper for them.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a Zoom call or you have an in-person meeting, they'll be able to see your body language. They'll be able to see if you're confident. They'll be able to see if you're approachable. They'll be
Hmm.
able to see who you are. We read so much more in body language than we do just about for anything else when it
Yeah.
comes to trust, especially initial trust.
Hmm.
So again, if you're not able to invest in anything else other than a headshot, even if it's just one, do that.
Okay.
The second thing, if you're going to do stock photo, and headshots can be anywhere from $150 to $300. So they won't break the bank.
Okay.
But you can use them everywhere. So you know, have a media kit put together, put it on your LinkedIn, like tag the person on social media who did your photography, and get that like reciprocal, I love this, you should go to them. Like
Hmm.
you get in front of more people, you get that brand recognition. And again, people see your face. So
Yeah.
part of the professional brand photography is people want to see your face and your body language. And then the stock photos is it's about who you want to attract. It's like the colors. I
Hmm.
suggest people take Canva pictures and kind of make like a little booklet You don't have to print it out, but just put them all together and see if those pictures work well together. So maybe it won't work well if you're like, oh, I like this picture and I like this picture, and one is super like dark and edgy, like fractals in a leaf, which are really cool, by the way. Canva has some really great ones. And the other one is like a warm and friendly, like office. Your stock photography should feel like if somebody walked into your office. What does that look like? How does that feel? And maybe you have a home office, but if you had an office space where you were inviting people in, that's what the photography on your website should feel like. And if you can look through stock photographs, again, Canva has some, Unsplash and Pexel, and there are a few others that you can get stock photography for free, as long as you give either credit or you purchase them. I'm sorry, not purchase, that's the wrong word. Or you purchase a Canva license, pro license, then you can use them on your websites. So just be aware of, you just can't Google an image and then put it on your website. It's stealing.
To be like,
you don't want to start off your business stealing.
So I use the same like 3 tools that you mentioned, like Unsplash, Pexels, and mainly Canva. Like the images do need to be like royalty free, and you don't want it to have like the watermark on there. I've seen so many things, like I'll go to a website and I see the watermark at the bottom. I forgot what it's called. It's like Photo Depot or something like that, or the Deposit Photos or something, and it'll have the watermark on there. So make sure you're not doing that.
Yes. And again, the best way is to get it from a place that you have the right to get it from. If you have questions, Canva has some great FAQ sections, or you can ask me. Please feel free.
Yeah, definitely. So after this, like, thanks for reminding me, like, I need to invite you to the group so people can like bombard you and like brain dump their questions on you.
Absolutely.
Perfect. But so while you're waiting to get into the group, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you? So I have your email here, but like, where else can people find you if they want to reach out for help?
If they want to reach out for help, you can also go to my website. My email is on my website as well. But I also have a bunch of articles on my blog that might help you get started, whether it's just thinking about how to market yourself, or to just know, no matter who you are or what you do, the relationships are the most important part of marketing at the end of the day. It's getting your message to the right people at the right time. Anything else is just fluff. Honestly, anything else, no matter how much marketing strategy we would like to be like, this will work for you, we don't know. We're just trying things. That is what it comes down to at the end of the day. The bottom line is, marketers just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and then do that again. If these are the right people that we're attracting, then let's do it again more often. So please go to my website. It's you can either go to skavlemdesigns.com or designsthatdo.com. It's the same place.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sue. Any final words you want to share? Any last words of wisdom before we go ahead and hop off?
Just thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Like you said, Chatsoni, at the beginning, not everybody can do everything, and I can't do bookkeeping. So I have a bookkeeper, and I love her, and I'm so very grateful for her. And if there's any way that I can help out your clients at the end of the day, I'm more than happy to.
Oh, you're wonderful. Thank you so much, Sue. So I'll go ahead and end this, and yeah, thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.